let's dive into all things Akashic Forecast. So, as you know, before I jump forward, I like to look back. And if you are listening to this right now, and, honestly, I would suggest pausing this, jumping back to the 2023 Akashic Forecast episode and re-listening to the message, especially before you listen to the one for 2024. I would highly recommend doing that. And then even what would be really cool is to go back and listen to that message and then do the journaling prompts that I created for you. And then dive into the 2024 Akashic Forecast, because when we give ourselves that space to look back, then we can step forward with so much more assurance. And it's really powerful. It's going back through my notes. The 2023 Akasha Forecast theme was empowering the self. And I'd be really curious if you were to think about that for yourself. Who were you at the beginning of 2023? And who are you now at the end of 2023? What lessons have you learned? What have you come through? What has made you stronger? What have you learned about yourself? What new things have you brought into your life? How did you invest in yourself in 2023? 2023, I think this started really hitting me back in November around my birthday, because of course, around my birthday, I'm always thinking about the last year of my life and what I want to do in the upcoming year. And there's a lot of review that's just kind of taking place on a heart level for me. And I was brought to tears multiple times just thinking about this year, how much it has taught me, how much stronger, how much more myself I have become. And I got so excited because truly I can say at the end of this year, looking back, I have empowered myself in ways that I wouldn't have thought possible at the beginning of this year. I have done so much in my business. I have truly stepped out and am naming myself as the mystic that I am, that I have always been, naming what it is that I do. When I was home visiting for the holidays, of course, I ran into several people and, Anna, what is it that you do? What is it that you do? And it's so funny to me because people that I've known for decades and decades, right? When I tell them, oh, I'm a spiritual guide, they're not surprised at all, which always cracks me up. They're like, oh yeah, that makes complete sense. That, you were always that weirdo girl in high school asking questions about God and wanting to talk about, things that no one else was talking about. And, but then there's those other people that, as soon as you kind of start talking about this kind of stuff, their eyes glaze over and that they're just whatever. She's weird. She's doing that devil worship stuff again. Because, my hometown is in the South and there are more churches than there are gas stations. So that always makes it interesting. But, it didn't bother me. It didn't bother me at all. This is who I am, and I'm very proud of who I am. And this year has really helped me to step out in that way and has helped me to kind of release so much of the stuff that has prevented me from being that. And really at the beginning of the year, I it's not ever that I was ashamed or that I tried to hide it or any of those things. I didn't even realize that I hadn't fully claimed that for myself and fully, pushed myself out there in that way. And I share that with you because I'd love for you to take that and think about yourself in your own way. What have you claimed for yourself in 2023? How have you become more empowered? So it was also interesting to, again, go back through my notes for that episode and just kind of what I taught on and what I went over. Because I have to say, there was so much that felt very similar to what 2024 is going to be. And, we are in a process right now, a process that kicked off in 2020 with the pandemic. And so we have been kind of gradually building on that energy. And so while I think in the midst of it, it has felt like we've been like getting jerked back and forth and all over the place, it's actually been quite steady. It's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's been really interesting to kind of sit back and watch and kind of pay attention, because I've been doing monthly Akashic Forecast since 2020. And so I've kind of seen like how the months shift and kind of what the patterns are and those sorts of things. My mind loves like picking up on that kind of stuff. So I enjoy sitting around and thinking about it. But again, I would just recommend going back and listening to the 2023 Akashic Forecast so that you can really kind of get a handle around what this year was for you. Because make no mistake about it, 2023 was massive. This has been a year of preparation for what is to come. 2024 it's going to be massive. It's major shift. But 2025, man, we have big stuff coming in 2025. We've got things I'm not even going to get into at this point in time. But we've got some transits that are going to, well, let's just say it'll make 2024 look like a teenager. All right. It's going to be big. So we are in that process right now. And so we are building. And that's why, the Akashic Records were really saying the last couple of months of 2023, like the time, every action counts right now. And that is not to freak you out. And that is not to like put you into like perfection mode. And like, I got to do everything correct. And like, I can't mess up. And like, I got to do all these things. And I got to like, every single morning, I got to like meditate and do my prayers. And I got to like, like do this list of 10 different things. Like, no. That is not what it's about, okay? It's truly, truly not what it's about. It's about taking it day by day and about knowing that really all that's required of you is that you do your best. And some days your best is not going to look like your best. It's going to look like, a dumpster fire. And that's okay. In fact, that's human and that's perfectly aligned. If we were able to consistently attain every single day, we wouldn't be human, all right? We would be the AI that we're going to see exploding in 2024. But we are human. We make mistakes and we are not perfect. We're healing so much. We're doing so much work when we're not even trying to. And it's so important for us to really, 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 really be kind to ourselves. Be really kind to ourselves. I woke up on Christmas morning overwhelmed with anger and hurt and upset and agony and so many different emotions. And to top it off, I was not in my home. I was in my father's house, and we had people coming and the house needed to be prepared, and I needed to cry and I needed to fall apart and I needed to do that for myself and to be with myself. Growing up, my parents divorced when I was 11, and Christmas time was awful. It was always awful every year. There were good parts of it for sure. Plenty of really wonderful times, but we were often having to race back and forth between our households. Both of our parents were upset because we had to leave one to go to the other, or, well, wait a minute, you're spending this much time there, you're spending that much time there. It was just and then the family drama stuff, it was a difficult time of year. And so I have a lot of emotions about the holidays. And, I could have been like on a get it together. Like, you're at your father's house and like, people are coming, but I didn't. I messaged my dad and I said, look, I am not in good space this morning. I need to be by myself. I will come down when I'm ready. And he said, okay, no problem. And I did what I needed to do. I cried. I was with myself. I hugged on myself. I did some breath work. I did a little bit of meditation. I got online and kind of looked at some things that make me smile. I did what I needed to do for myself. I was kind. And I could have very easily and would have beaten myself up royally just a few years back because, excuse me, ma'am, you're in someone else's house and this is not how you act. And, that's just kind of how I was raised. You pull it together. But my inner child, she needed some love. And I share that with you because this is going to be coming up a lot this year for you, for us as a collective in our personal lives. We have to offer ourselves kindness. We have to learn how to support ourselves in these times because it is only going to increase this tumultuous energy, the things that are breaking and falling and crumbling around us. And yet we can still thrive in the midst of it. You can thrive. I can thrive. We can thrive. It is completely up to us. And all that we need to do is be kind to ourselves and to take care of ourselves in the process and do the best we can. And that's it. So in the midst of diving into the 2024 Akashic Forecast with me, especially as I go to break it down, if you find yourself being triggered or freaking out or any of these things, please come back to what I'm sharing with you now. Because if there's anything that I want you to hear, it is that. Be kind to yourself, all right? Okay. For those who are brand new to this podcast, just tuning in, welcome, welcome, welcome. You are here for the fireworks version. But per usual, like I do on my monthly Akashic Forecast, I will be opening the Akashic Records for the listeners of the Soul Driven podcast. So whether you're brand new or you're an OG and you've been with me since the beginning, this is you. And because time does not exist outside of this planet, whenever you feel drawn to come back to this reading, I highly suggest it. There will be something here for you that is relevant, that is timely. It will speak to you because these readings are alive, always alive, and they simply match your intention. And in that, I would highly suggest revisiting this Akashic Forecast message once a month throughout the year. Come back to it, sit with it, see what it is that it has to share with you. If you're feeling lost, if you don't know what's going on, if you just need to be recentered, because of course, the message, the energy is wrapped up in this message. And if you would like to learn more about the Akashic Records, you can check out my mini Akashic series, episodes 168 to 172. I really break apart what the Akashic Records are, in addition to my relationship with them. But suffice it to say, I am accessing that part of us, that energy of us that holds the past, present, and future. And I'm able to bring that information down and to channel it for you. And it comes alive for each and every one of us differently. So if there's something that sticks out for you that doesn't necessarily for me, awesome. And if something I share with you doesn't resonate with you, awesome. It's all good, okay? Because my channeling is activating your channeling. That's why I love listening to other channelers who I feel drawn to, because I hear them channeling, I feel that energy, I tap into that energy, and then I just come alive myself. I love it so much. All right, folks. All right. It is time for us to dive in. So make sure that you meet me on the other side of this Akashic channeled message for 2024. I'll be breaking it down, offering you resources and tools to help you manage and just knock 2024 out of the park. All right. Okay. I'll see you on the other side. There are things here that you haven't seen before. Yes, so many things coming at you one time. We know that this volume has been accelerating for quite some time. But what's important for you to know is that now the crescendos are beginning to take place. The explosions in the sky, the loud capitulating voices echoing from one room to another, bouncing back and forth from here to there. There will be light, there will be sound. For there will be so much crackling in the wind. Heads rising up, palms turned outward, blazing into the sun. The bright, beautiful sun overhead. She draws ever more near, placing her weight and bounty upon you, ensuring that nothing can hold you back. Nothing can be hidden. Nothing can step outside of her light. For there will be so much coming forward, rising up, newness to see. For this is a year unlike any other. That which was burdened is being undone. Lives are being ripped open. There will be much to say, much for us to share with you about this time and event, for it truly is pushing things in a completely different direction, pulling them up from the earth, allowing them to come through the sky. The sky. Oh my, the sky. You will look to it for words and messages, for direction in your everyday. For you will feel so lost, and yet so rightly found. It won't be easy, friends, to find your way. This is why we have spoken for so long about the importance of learning how to bear down into the ground, finding your solid foundation underneath. But know that all that is taking place must take place. It too will offer up great power like none before within the self, within your heart. For it will tear you open to all that lies beneath. You won't be able to hide from yourself anymore. The dreams that you have dreamed, the wants that you have held, the things that you have been chasing, if only in your mind. Why it will seem almost unbearable to not have them within your grasp. Know that this will be your year if you have been waiting patiently to gain the mountaintops to jump off of. For those who have been biding their time, know that this will be your time. But even still, great discernment will be the tool that you utilize moving forward. Discern for yourself, discern for the world at large. But know that your perspective is simply your own. This is something you will come into greater understanding about, and no, you will not blend into others the way that you have before. For you have been finding your own 2 feet, the road that they are walking. And you will be able to see a beautiful convergence of the path that you walk, with others doing the same on their own. There will be more splits and upheavals. There will be people taking sides. Polarity will rise to a deafening level. Yet you must do your best to stand firm in the middle. See both sides. See all sides. Knowing that you will never know it all. Knowing that there is great wisdom in even trying to understand that which you fully disagree with. Know that love will come forward on the planet like never before. In new waves, it will rush forward. It will rush forward even the depths of you, picking you up, throwing you down, swirling you around. For now is the time. Now is when the big shift fully begins to take root. And all that has been coming up to this moment. For you have been in preparation, you see, learning how to withstand so much of what you will be experiencing in this year. Learning how to come into new relationship with yourself so that you could show up differently, so that you would be aware, present, in the reality of all that is taking place around you and on the planet at large. For again we say there will be so much happening, and at such a rapid speed. Taking your time will be of utmost importance. Surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals who can assist in lifting you up as you all lift each other up will be crucial moving forward. Try not to allow yourself to get distracted by all the happenings in the outside world, for there will be much. Oh yes, so much. But what is important for you, what is relevant for you, is that which is taking place in your world. Know that you will all be called differently. But regardless of that calling, you must care for yourself. For if you do not, then you will be of no assistance to others. For this ability to leave oneself behind is diminishing at a rapid rate and will not be possible soon enough. The collective must break and fall so that it can be rebuilt. The systems and structures, the leaders that do not serve must go. One by one, they will be taken off their platforms. One by one, these things will crumble to the ground. One by one, you will see religions, philosophies, ideas that have held great weight in this world begin to soften in their ability to impact as they lose power, as they come into a realization that their services are no longer needed. For there will be newness rising up, newness taking place. And stepping forward, you will not be able to turn back. For there will be no turning back. No, the past will be the past. And this fight between what is good and right will no longer matter. For you will be taking things one day at a time, as that will be all your systems can handle. And all that is best for you to handle. Know that this year is going to be a big one. It's going to require so much for you. But if you wish to make an impact in this world, if you wish to do the work to ready yourself, increase your understanding, expand and grow, then you will benefit ripely. For those who feel called will do so at this time, even as the world lurches, even as it is overcome. Take care with those around you, knowing that everyone is on their own path. Show respect and kindness, and simply be on your way when things do not align. Find faith and hope and love within your heart. Show this towards others. And move at a pace that feels most right for you. All right. Just coming on back now. So, first of all, I'd love to know how this resonated with you. Would love for you to take a screenshot, tag me on social media, share it with me in a story so I can share it with my audience. I'm so curious how it resonated with you, what stuck out to you. Definitely, I would suggest, even before kind of diving into this with me, the breakdown, maybe just pausing for a couple of minutes just to jot down any of the things that really stood out to you. You know, the things that you're like, ooh, grabbed you. Maybe if there's something that kind of concerned you or scared you, whatever the case may be. You know, just your own takeaways. So, first of all, I want to talk a little bit about our theme, redefining yourself. And, you know, I kind of spoke in the intro about empowering the self, which is what we were doing in 2023, and how much more I was able to kind of step into myself in 2023. And I believe that all of us were doing that in one way, shape, or another. Yours may look different than mine. It may look exactly like mine. Who knows? It doesn't matter. But point being, we were stepping more into ourselves. And now that we're doing that, this year is about redefining who we are. Not only for ourselves, but for the outside world. You know, the Akasha has been asking us this question now for a couple of months. Who do you want to be in these times? How do you want to show up? And it's a big question. But I believe a lot of that answer came to us in 2023. And of course, like, this is a continuum. You know, it's not like, oh yeah, just within this 1 year, I got it all figured out. Like, some people might. That's great. That's not me. So if that's not you, hey, I'm with you. Sometimes when I hear, like, you know, all these like new themes for these new months, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not done with last month, or I'm not done with, you know, the last year, or wait a minute, did that really happen? Or I kind of get myself worked up about where I'm at or what's going on. And we just got to kick that crap to the curb. I mean, so fast. And remind ourselves that no matter where we are at in our life, on our journey, we are exactly where we are supposed to be at any given moment. We do not need to rush. We do not need to force. We do not need to do any of those things, because all they do is lead to suffering, right? And they steal our joy. And more than anything else, we are meant to be enjoying life. We aren't supposed to be taking it so seriously. And it's so freaking easy to take it so seriously, right? I mean, I know I'm not the only anal type A, Enneagram 3, which is the achiever type person out there, who's just like, okay, I got to do it. I got to check it off. I got to make it happen. I got to, I'm so thankful that I've gotten to a place where I can laugh at myself more when I catch myself in these moments. And it just helps me to completely deflate wherever it is that I'm at, and all of that tension and stress that I'm holding within my body. But in 2024, we're redesigning our lives. We are redesigning ourselves. We are redefining who we are. And if you're thinking well, I didn't even define myself to begin with. You did. You did. You probably never did it intentionally, but you were walking around with labels. You're walking around with conditioning. You're walking around thinking that you're this person or that person simply because maybe someone else named you that way, or someone else told you you were a specific thing, or whatever the case may be, right? Maybe people told you were too loud, or you're too quiet, or you didn't speak up enough, or you spoke too much, or you know what I'm saying? We've all kind of had these ideas of who we are. But it is in these times that we are realizing we have the power to define ourselves. And in that, we are redefining ourself, because we are rewriting the story. We are rewriting the script. We are rewriting the definition of who we thought we were, and who and what we were doing, and how we were doing it, and just the whole 9 yards. The writing utensil has been placed in our hands. We have been given that power from day one, but we didn't know that. Maybe we heard it here and there, but we have been learning it through experience. We have become more and more embodied in that knowledge over the past several years. And that has been the beauty, the gift of the pandemic, to put on the brakes, to slow everything down. All the conspiracy theorists who get lost in oh, everybody's trying to control you and blah, blah, freaking blah. They are missing the miracles of what we went through. And that's too bad, There will always be factions that are trying to control things. And there will always be people who want to control us. But it is our responsibility to know that, and to be wise about the information that we take in, the things that we do, and what we allow in our life. And again, I think a lot of 2023 was helping us to further come into the understanding of that, right? So even more in 2024, even more we're saying, no, that's not for me. Yes, that is for me. No, I will not allow that. Yes, I will allow it. This is who I am. This is who I choose to show up and be. This is how I choose to operate in the midst of uncomfortable conversations, or when I am upset with someone, or when I am, whatever the case may be, right? We are stepping further into that empowerment, but we aren't just becoming more empowered this year. We're rewriting the story. And I hope that you grab onto that and that excites you because it's meant to, right? There is going to be so much taking place this year, and we have to hold on to ourselves. The quote for this podcast, when we invest in ourselves, the world benefits, is going to become so clear and so true for us, even more so this year. We're going to see that, like on my Christmas day, when I took care of myself that morning, I was able to show up and be my most beautiful self for the rest of the day. I was able to assist my parents in hosting all of these people and making sure that they were okay, that they felt comfortable in our home, that, and able to just be present and be fully there. And oh, it was wonderful. Wonderful. I was able to just really share a beautiful side of myself that I would have never been able to share if I wouldn't have given to myself the morning of Christmas, and really allowed myself to just fall apart the way I needed to. And again, we're going to see this more and more and more as we move forward. So a couple of resources on the front end. There's going to be a couple of podcast episodes that I'm going to be directing you to. And so I suggest taking some notes. In addition, as I mentioned, if you are drawn to the Akasha, I really highly recommend either taking my workshop or take someone else's workshop. I don't care if it's not mine. I most want you to connect with the Akasha if you feel drawn to it, because it has been such an incredible tool in my life. And in these times, it will be so powerful for you. Okay. So please consider that, keep that in your back pocket. And, know that, again, moving forward, I'm going to be sharing more workshops, courses, these sorts of things that are really going to support you throughout this year. All right. So let's kind of dive into the reading. And like I mentioned before, I'm going to be breaking this down in a much more granular way than I typically do, because I felt really called to do that. My guides were like, we got to do this different. This is important. Okay. So, kicking things off here. There are things here that you haven't seen before. This is our first line in the reading, and what a powerful line. We are stepping into a brand new time period on this planet. This is territory that we have never been in before. We literally have never experienced this before as a planet. The planet has never been this aware, this conscious, nor had the technology that it has right now. And there's so much technology that the general public doesn't even know about yet, that we will be learning a lot more about in this coming year. That's just going to blow your mind. Absolutely blow your mind. But we have never been in this place before. And so what we're going to be experiencing this year is this is big. This is big. And I mean, this could be kind of like one of those like, well, duh statements, but no, it's literally the planet has gone through multiple periods of time where humanity has basically been reset. And, some of you may have heard about Atlantean times, and for those who have and who believe in Atlantis, and I am, my very first past life memories that I learned about were from Atlantis. And of course, I didn't know that at the time. I learned that later, but Atlantis was very real. And it was an incredible time on our planet. And a lot of the technology that they had at that time was it was more advanced than what we have available to the general public in our current time. And certain things that we were able to do then that we haven't learned how to do now. But we did not have the consciousness that we have on this planet now, back then. We did not have a lot of things that we have now, back then. This is truly a completely different time period on this planet. We are in the midst of rewriting who we want to be as a planet, who we want to be as a collective, just like we are doing for ourselves. So in the midst of that, there is going to be a lot coming up for us to make decisions about this year. Again, not just on our personal level. Who do we want to be? Who do we want to be as a planet? How do we want to treat our planet? How do we want to treat, people who believe in different things than us? How do we want to treat people who don't have as much as us, or people who have more than us? How do we want to treat the strangers on the street, right? Like, who do we want to be? While the planet has gone through many different iterations and resets, we've just never been here before. And that's really important to understand. We are entering such a new time that each day is truly building a new timeline. All right. Every word, action, or deed that you take on a personal level creates a new timeline. Timelines are constantly being recreated. Mind you, new timelines generally are still kind of moving in the same direction. Every once in a while, a decision will be made or something will happen where it completely deviates the timeline. But often, it's usually kind of going in the similar direction. But as a collective right now as well, we haven't figured out who we want to be. And so every year as we are building up to this crescendo, which I don't fully know what that is yet or when that is. And there's a lot of talk in the spiritual community. There's, folks were channeling about this like decades ago, like back in like the 70s. We've got astrologers talking about, that like 2030 is really going to be the major when things are actually going to really start like calming down. I don't know yet. I haven't sat down, and quite frankly, I'm not really concerned about that at this point in time, because the here and now is what is most important. And if we start thinking too much about the future, then we are going to get distracted from the here and now. And this is what is most important. Crescendos are beginning to take place. It's so funny that I just used that word because I didn't mean to even. But we have been building in momentum over the past several years, right? We've been building since the pandemic kind of kicked off, and each year has been more and more. And this year, we're going to start seeing some of those crescendos. There's been a lot more tension in the US with politics, with our governments, with these sorts of things, with certain policies. And we are going to see some major crescendos this year, and major crescendos stepping into even the following year. And when I say crescendo, I mean things really coming to a sort of breaking point and potentially making like a big deviation in a timeline. So that's what that means specifically. Nothing can be hidden. Nothing can step outside of her light. So this, of course, is talking about Mother Earth, but also about what is taking place on this planet. This year, we're going to be seeing so many unreveals. I don't know if that's a word, but I'm going with it. It was interesting to me. I think it was like 2 weeks before Christmas or something. I saw online that like Jeffrey Epstein, the files of like all the people's names who were in cahoots with him. It's like 125 names or something are going to be dropping on the 1st of January. And I just thought like, wow, this is how we're kicking off the year. All right, here we go. This is going to be huge for us. And this is not, Jeffrey Epstein. That's definitely very important, but it's going to be taking place across every industry in every part of the world. Nothing is going to be, it's going to be really intense. We're going to be seeing a lot more of what has actually been winding the clock behind the scenes. There's so much here in the US. All these fingers are pointed to the politicians. And let me say that absolutely there's an enormous amount of responsibility on their shoulders and blah, 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 blah. But there's so much that happens behind the scenes that we never see. So many people behind the scenes who are actually the ones in charge that we never see. So many names. And it is really a lot of this is going to be coming to the forefront in 2024. So much more of it is going to be stepping out. We'll be seeing people outed and begin seeing some of those who are behind the scenes and actually pulling the strings. And a lot of people that we actually thought, considered to be trustworthy, not. And in this, it's so important for you and your own world, thinking about the people that you really look up to and the people that you have allowed to be in your energy, the people that, I think it's just very important for us to be discerning about people in general. Don't put anyone on a pedestal. Don't believe anyone is better than you, more important than you, knows more than you, anything like that. It's a very, very dangerous place to be. I have talked about quite a few times on this podcast, I've written blogs about it, about how dangerous it is to put people on pedestals because people are people. Martin Luther King was also known to be a womanizer and an abuser. I mean, every person on the planet has a human side, and it does not make them a bad person at all. It makes them a human person. And so when we put people on pedestals, we get our feelings hurt when they show some sort of humanity, when they screw up, when they fall short, when they say something that they shouldn't have, or whatever the case may be. And quite frankly, it's our fault for putting them on a pedestal in the first place. We shouldn't be surprised when people mess up. We should simply say, all right, they're human. Now, what does that mean for me? I may choose to not engage with this person anymore. I may choose to not listen to their content. I may choose to, whatever the case may be. That is my choice. But demonizing people, cancel culture, all of that bullshit has got to go. Because we will be seeing more and more of these sorts of things coming to the forefront. And we've got to try and have some compassion for it. And also to realize that we play a part. When we put all of our faith and trust in one person and they show to not be fully trustworthy, well, they've always been that person. All we can control is how we react and what happens to us, right? But so much more is going to be revealed this year. And, I really like these sorts of things, honestly, always make me a little bit nervous because, as a quadruple Sagittarius, I mean, I could definitely suffer from foot and mouth disease. So I'm always just like, all right. But, it's why I try to share my own humanity with you. I would never want anyone to put me on a pedestal because I am beyond human. And I love God so much because God helps me see how amazing I am, even in my total imperfection, right? That's all of us. The sky, oh my, you will look to it for words and messages, for direction in your every day. Spirituality, in whatever way people want to practice it, and whatever way people want to look at it, is going to be a big theme this year, a big topic. And it's going to be really interesting to see what's going to happen within the spiritual community, because I believe that we're going to have a couple of major issues within the spiritual community. I think that, kind of the whole guru, destruction that happened, over the last couple of years. I mean, we just have to be very, very, very careful, okay, in this, in the midst of, again, placing all of our, faith and trust in one person. The spirituality community is rife with major issues, with wounded souls, with inner children who are screaming out, with dysfunction at the highest level. And because because people are going to be searching so much this year, and because there is going to be so much intensity, and you have to understand that when we go through difficult times, we start looking for a higher power, right? Like everybody knows this, I think. And because we'll be going through higher times, people are going to be looking for spirituality. There's not necessarily one right way to be spiritual. I mean, the way that I define spirituality is reconnecting with yourself, reconnecting with the God that is within, because we are all divinely connected within. being that we are all our best teachers, all our best leaders and guides, because God resides within each one of us. And you could use God, source, whatever. If you are brand new to me, please know that God for me means love. So anything founded in love, I'm hooked with. This is not religion whatsoever. But point just being that because people are going to be looking for so much, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for people to be taking advantage of this, for people to be like swayed into different areas that are just kind of off the wall. I mean, I saw, a friend of mine was sharing with me a big issue that blew up on TikTok about astral projection, and please just use your discernment. And we'll get into discernment in a minute. But the other side of this, the exciting side of this, is that this is going to be a really beautiful year to deepen your spirituality in whatever way that looks for you. And again, there's no right or wrong here. There's no perfect way to do this. It's whatever way feels most aligned for you, okay? But it's going to be a big deal this year. It's going to be a big deal moving forward, because we are going to be learning this year, and especially next year, we're not alone on this planet. We are not the only ones. We're going to, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be really, really interesting. You will feel so lost and yet so rightly found. And isn't that beautiful? Even in the midst of, we're all, I think for the most part, well, some of us more than others are very external in the way that we live. Like we look for external things to make us happy, to complete us, to satisfy us, to distract us when life is hard, to entertain us, whole nine yards. And that's fine. There's no judgment there. But the internal world it's extremely powerful and also very entertaining if you feel so inclined. And so because of this external pull that the majority of us feel, we will feel very lost this year during times because things are going to be breaking around us, But at the same time, we will feel so rightly found, so rightly found. If you are someone who is able to hook into the things that you need to be hooked into this year, if you are taking care of yourself, if you are in the midst of that solid foundation, you're going to really experience beauty even in the midst of that. 2024 will feel overwhelming, but it will also feel enlivening. It's an upgrade from 2023. A lot of 2023 was like in the muck, in the dirt. It was slow in a lot of moments up until the last couple of months, right? It was just like, it was difficult to get things done. I mean, like sales were down across the board for every entrepreneur and business that I know. I mean, it was just like, it was a slower year. Well, guess what? 2024 is the opposite. Time will be moving much quicker as well. And this is not just because we're getting older. This is because time is literally speeding up. Because as our consciousness rises, so too does time speed up. And I don't fully understand the correlation to that. I just know that that's how I've seen it and how I've experienced it. And what I have been shown in regards to why time is speeding up for us, It won't be easy, friends, to find our way. As we are moving forward into these tumultuous times, it is our responsibility to care for ourselves, to put practices in place that care for our mind, our body, and our soul. Personal responsibility is another big theme for this year, another big topic for us to really plant our teeth in, because we're coming to understand that we are fully 100% responsible for ourselves. We're not responsible for what happens to us, but we are responsible for how we react to it. And that doesn't mean that we are just like light and love about all the things that come at us. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that it's our responsibility to take care of ourselves. No one else is going to do it. There's no one on the planet who loves you enough who can actually do that job for you but yourself. We have to save ourselves. We have to find our way. We have to create that for ourselves. And it sounds overwhelming, I think it's sometimes. And sometimes it sounds like kind of like we're being left on our own. And, if you have struggled with abandonment in your life and or had, parents who didn't give you much time or these sorts of things, there can be a lot of triggering energy around that. But I just really want to encourage you to sink into that. And first of all, understand why it's triggering for you, but then also to really consider how insane it would be for you to look back 3 years from now, 1 year from now, 5 years from now, and to be like, I built something badass by myself. I did this for me, whatever that is for you. Maybe you got yourself in the best shape of your life. Maybe you found yourself the most incredible group of friends and you started doing awesome activities together. Maybe you went back to school. Maybe you changed careers. Maybe you found the love of your life, whatever the case may be. We have to take responsibility for ourselves. And these times are really calling us into that. In fact, we're not going to get out of it. It's just the truth of the matter. All that is taking place must take place. Nothing is superfluous. Nothing. Ever, 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 ever. Okay? Nothing happens just to happen. Like everything has a purpose. All the chaos, all the problems, all the strife, all the pain, all the hurt. And I know that can be really difficult to take in, but it's just true. Okay? Every single thing serves a purpose. There's a lesson in everything. And this is another very important lesson for us to really wrap our minds around, again, as we're stepping into these times where more and more is going to be falling apart, so that we don't get swept up in the victim mentality, so that we don't get so angry that it derails us. If something happens and it really upsets you, like that's fine. Please, I love anger. Anger is a beautiful emotion. Feel your anger, work through your anger, but don't get lost in your anger, right? Everything has a purpose. And, one of the reasons why I suggest learning to work with the Akasha, if you are drawn to it, is for that purpose in and of itself. If things happen in your life that you don't understand, man, you can go to the Akasha, You can book a session with me, of course, or someone else, but you can do that yourself too. Look, I love working with y'all one-on-one. I love, but I also really want to empower you to do this work on your own because you can. You can. All right. It too will offer up great power like none before within the self, within the heart. And this is speaking directly about the chaos that's going to be happening in 2024. Tumultuous times, difficult times are really what hone us into our best selves and or into our worst selves. Hopefully it's your best self, right? I think that if you are listening to this podcast, investing in yourself is a priority. Caring for yourself is a priority. And maybe you don't do it the way you would really like to do it, but that doesn't matter. You're doing it as best you can right now, and that's what counts. And so therefore, this chaos is going to just sharpen you that much more. It's going to make you that much better. And we are going to just grow and increase as we step into this year. You won't be able to hide from yourself anymore. The dreams that you have dreamed, the wants that you have held, the thing that you have been chasing. The time of being able to do things that your heart isn't into is just, it's like disappearing by the moment. I mean, it's gone. It's forget about it. It's so fascinating to watch this whole movement with work that has been happening since the pandemic. I remember 2021, I was actually going to a job that I had at the time. And my father and I were on the phone. We were talking about, the workers' movements and people not going to work and then he had some things to say about it that were kind of, he's an older, different generation and he was, not very happy about it. And I was just like, Dad, Think about all the people that you worked for, that treated you terribly, that paid you poorly. How demeaning was that? Why is that ever okay? And then on the other hand, why do we live to work? At least here in the West, why do we do that? Why is that acceptable? Why is that okay? These things are not. And it has been so incredible to watch these movements taking place, People have been saying no more, no more. And I love what the younger generation, like the Gen Z generation, like they're just not having it. And it cracks me up when I hear like the older generation folks talking about, they just don't want to work. And I'm like, bullshit. Because all you have to do is put, someone from the Gen Z generation in a job that they are passionate about, and they'll work like crazy too, because they're excited about it. Or if they're working for someone who like really takes great care of them. And, like our world is shifting, and it's shifting to be more aligned with our heart. And so doing things that aren't aligned with your heart are going to become harder and harder and harder. You've already been experiencing this in 2023. This is not brand new. But in 2024, it's going to feel like suffering. And if you continue to push yourself through things that your heart doesn't want to do, you will find yourself mentally, physically, emotionally sick. The choice is yours. Continue doing it. Continue forcing yourself. Continue trying to put square through a round peg, whatever that saying is. Be my guest. But you will suffer the consequences, because it's just not aligned for us anymore. That is old paradigm. And the fears that might be attached to that, the concerns that might be attached to that, you have to know that when your heart steps online and wants to take over, that the universe is going to step forward and want to take care of you in that process, and will take care of you in that process. I mean, I'm a perfect example of that, I was the marketing CEO. I made fantastic freaking money. And then my guys were like, yeah, you're going to do readings. And I'm like, what? For like $150 a pop? Like, are you crazy? Like, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to like get anything done? Like, how am I, that was my heart. And I kicked and I tantrumed and I did my very best to not follow through. But they took care of me all along the way. It wasn't, I'm still building out of that. If you haven't checked out my podcast, From Marketing CEO to Spiritual Guide, highly recommend. You can hear the whole story, the journey. But, it's not like I became one of these like Instagram influencers making millions of dollars overnight. Heck no. Heck no. I mean, that's obviously not what I'm trying to do anyway. But they took care of me every step of along the way. They made sure I had what I needed always. And if you think about your life, even at your most struggling, hard financial times, you were taken care of, right? In one way, shape, or another. We've got to follow our hearts. And 2024, man, it's getting us in line. Okay. Know that this will be your year if you have been waiting patiently to gain the mountain tops to jump off of. If you have been waiting to start something, this is the year. This is the time. If you've been like, I want to start a business. If you've been like, I want to start an online presence, or like start selling something, or writing something, or working out, or eating, or whatever it is for you, this is the year, man. It's a dragon year. It is a very powerful year. Major energy behind it. Of course, that's a little bit different for all of us, but this is an incredible year, okay? And if you have been sitting with something, kind of just like what I'm talking about, we are getting aligned with our heart now. It's big. So this is the time to go for it. You don't have to change your life overnight. This can be baby steps that you take this year, okay? Do what feels aligned for you, but know that. Discern for yourself. In 2024, discernment is one of those big themes, okay? And honestly, I'm going to do a whole podcast about discernment because it's so huge. It's so huge for this year coming up. When Pluto moves into Aquarius, if you actually dive into the history, and the astrology podcast does a great job of kind of breaking this down. I believe in the 2024 forecast episode, they talk about this a bit. And for those of you who are not big astrology buffs, you don't need to know all the things to just take this in from them. They're really great about making it very easy to understand. Pluto in Aquarius does not breed honesty. It breeds, the shadow aspect of it, I should say, because when Pluto or any planet first ingresses into a new sign, especially like a major planet like this with a 20-year transit, we're going to see the ugly side of it first. That's just the way it is, because we got to see what is broken so then we can figure out how to fix it, right? As this happens, kind of bouncing off of what I was sharing a bit ago, we're going to have so many things stepping forward that are going to try to distract us. Misinformation is going to be everywhere. In addition, we are going to have our governments probably trying to feed us information that's not true. There's going to be a lot of this. And I really, really encourage you at this to please do not get lost in conspiracy theories. I did an episode about conspiracy theories. Please check that out if you are someone who does, because it's just a waste of your time. But it's important to use our discernment. Your discernment is everything. And it's got to be sharpened this year because so much is going to be coming at us. It might be difficult. And a lot of this stuff is trying to freak you out. It's trying to make you just fearful, to throw you off course. And it is your responsibility to say, no, this is not aligned. This is not real. This is not for me. Second guess anything that doesn't feel right, okay? Just keep it simple at that. Second guess anything that doesn't feel right. Perspective is a big theme this year. The way that you see the world is the way that you see the world. When you look out at the world, you are looking out through your own lens. You are looking out through your own experiences, through your own lessons, through your culture, through your conditioning, through your background, through your wounds, through your perspective is your perspective. And it's so important that we realize and step into the understanding that other people's perspective is not wrong. There is no right or wrong. There's just not. And I know that's difficult for us to think about, especially here in a 3D planet where things are polarized, but there's just not a right or wrong. There just is. And when we begin to see things that way, it's a little bit different. Now, that doesn't mean that we agree with everything. That doesn't mean that we say yes to violence and abuse and all the horrific things that are on this planet. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a higher perspective where it's like, okay, this is happening. What does this mean for me? What is my role in this? Am I meant to do something about this? Am I meant to help in this way? And if the answer is no, then it's important to continue moving on your path. If you feel drawn or led to do something about it, great, do something about it. There are so many different areas for us to get involved in. We can't rally for every hurt on this planet, for everything that's out of alignment. We would never get our real everyday life done. And we've got to know what is for us and we've got to know what isn't. But we've also got to learn how to realize that we're seeing things through our own eyes and our own perspective, because the world is just continuing to get smaller, if you haven't noticed. And it's going to be much easier for us to be around people that we don't like, that we disagree with, whatever the case may be, when we can understand perspective better. You will not blend into others the way that you have before. This year, you are becoming more and more of yourself, and you will be seeing other people doing the same. As I mentioned, 2023, That was about empowerment. This year, we're redefining ourselves. We're learning who we are. It's so incredible. There will be a ton of polarity on this planet in 2024. Make no mistake about it. It's absolutely going to rise. And it's really important for you to learn how to stand in the middle. Very, very, very important. Now, sorry, just lost my train of thought there for just a second. I recorded a podcast, episode 103, called Be Radical, Don't Take Sides. And if you are unsure of what standing in the middle is, I would highly recommend checking that podcast out. You can also check my blogs out on Medium. I did a couple of blogs actually about the middle, and I have them pinned to the top of my account because it's so important. Taking sides is not going to help us or assist us this year. It's just not. We've got to step back and, again, try to look at things from a higher level. Know that love will come forward on the planet like never before. So even in the midst of everything that is blowing up this year, all of the ways in which we are feeling unsettled, there's going to be so much love coming forward. And it's going to be really important for us to recognize that, to sit with that, to be aware of that, and to utilize it. You have to understand that when we see darkness everywhere, it's because there's so much light that has been brought in that it's showing us the dark stuff, okay? We have to see what is wrong before we can begin changing it. That is the first step in all change, all right? And so all of these horrible things that are happening on the planet right now are here for a reason and a purpose. The Israel-Gaza war. I mean, the Akashic records first channeled through, when they had me do a message when that first erupted. There has been conflict happening in this part of the world for a very, 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 very long time. What happened was not new. What happened was a symptom of what has been happening in that region for many, many decades and has been completely out of whack, out of alignment. And I'm not here to get political with you. I'm just here to give you an example that we have to see these things. Because guess what? Before this conflict, there was basically no one paying any attention to what was happening between these two countries. Everyone was doing other things. But guess what? They're paying attention now. And they're not only paying attention to what's happening there, but they're also comparing that to other places on the planet. It's awful that we have to learn in this way, but it's also the human condition. We don't learn things when everything's going great. We learn things when we feel pain, when we feel sadness, when we feel injustice, right? And in the midst of that, we're going to be feeling so much love because there is going to be so much light coming onto the planet. There's so much here that I could dive into. I'm just trying to kind of gauge myself and my time so that you're not here all day long. So if you have been in preparation, you see, learning how to withstand so much of what you will be experiencing in this year. Learn how to come into a new relationship with yourself so that you can show up differently. And that is kind of the basic definition of why redefining yourself is the theme for 2024. You have been in preparation. That was 2023. Now you're coming into new relationship with yourself. There will be so much happening and at such a rapid speed. Taking your time will be of utmost importance. In 2024, slowing down is going to be massive. Learning how to work with your nervous system, massive. Learning how to listen to your body, massive. Learning how to speak with your body, massive. If an Akashic journey with the body calls to you, highly recommend joining because your body, our bodies, are our greatest tools for wisdom and intuition and guidance in this lifetime, period. They tell us everything we need to know. It all comes through the body. And becoming more embodied and understanding our body is Massive, massive, massive. And slowing down is a big theme this year because, again, so much will be taking place. You're just not going to be able to keep up with everything this year. You're not going to be able to do all the activities. You're not going to be able to run your kids all over creation. You'll have to simplify. You'll have to minimize your to-do list. You'll have to decide what is most important and focus on that because you're going to have to manage your energy this year. Otherwise, you will find yourself exhausted, beat up, and sick. And that's not going to serve anybody. You've got to take care of yourself, right? Try not to allow yourself to get distracted by all the happenings in the outside world, for there will be so much. But it's important for you. What is relevant for you is that which is taking place in your world. While there will be so many things happening in the exterior world, so many systems falling apart, what's most important for you to worry about is your world. Some people will be called to activism. Some people will be called to take to the streets, but that's not everybody's role. Everyone has a different role, and it's your job to figure out what that is and to honor that for yourself. Your world is what is most important. And, when we invest in ourselves, the world benefits, right? That is how that works. If we are truly loving ourselves, we will never be selfish. We will never be narcissistic, period. These are not things that you have to worry about. That is conditioning and ideas that come from religion and control that says, oh, no, you got to think about other people first. It's not going to serve you. Not going to serve you. Everyone will be called differently this year, okay? We can't judge the path of others. Just because you may be called to one thing and your best friend isn't, please love your best friend. Please honor your best friend or your partner, right? Sometimes it's hardest with our partners. Like we get into something and we want them to be with us and they're not. And we're like, what the heck? It's because they're not supposed to be. We have to honor that. We can't judge others. We truly have to let people be this year. Oh my gosh. I keep seeing this stuff online about, everybody's got an opinion about this, what this person is doing, how this person's acting. And like, look, I can be a little old lady gossip too sometimes, but we have to let people be who they freaking are. Let them make their decisions. Let them do what they believe they got to do for their life. Let's just love them or maybe stay away from them. Whatever the case may be, we have to stay focused on our path. You are not responsible for anyone else on this planet, okay? Period. Even if you're a mama, even if you're, a spouse, like whatever, okay? Obviously, I'm not talking about like, yes, you have to feed and clothe your children and give it. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you are here for you. Your children are here for themselves. Your spouses are here for themselves. Hello. We're all here for ourselves. We're all here on our own path, our own journey, right? That's why like any parent trying to like force a child to be like them is losing, because no child's like their parent. No child's going to walk the path of their parent. Like that's not how it works. They come in to walk their own path. We're all here for our own path. We've got to focus on our own. What are you here for? For this ability to leave oneself behind is diminishing at a rapid rate and will not be possible soon enough. This is speaking specifically about this. You focusing on your path, you doing your thing. Self-care is massive, massive, massive. And this can look anything like, taking a bubble bath. It can mean listening to a song you love. It can mean watching, funny animal videos online. It can mean whatever the heck it means for you. There's no right or wrong here. You're not going to be able to leave yourself behind anymore. It's just not going to work. You're going to really find yourself suffering. And in that, when you do find yourself suffering, because it's going to happen to every single one of us this year, that's just life. The number one thing that's important for us to think about is what's going on? Where am I leaving myself? Where am I trying to control something that can't be controlled? Where am I wanting something to be different than it is, right? Because if you're suffering, then something like that is what's going on. And it's important to take a moment and stop and consider that for yourself. The collective must break and fall so that it can be rebuilt. The systems and structures, the leaders that do not serve must go. One by one, they will be taken off their platforms. One by one, these things will crumble to the ground. One by one, you will see religions, philosophies, ideas that have held great weight in this world begin to soften in their ability to impact as they lose power, as they come into a realization that their services are no longer needed. For there will be newness rising up, newness taking place, and stepping forward, you will not be able to turn back, for there will be no turning back. Take one day at a time. It's going to be all that your body can handle, all your mind can handle, all your spirit can handle. There is no turning back. And guess what? This year, we're actually going to stop trying to turn back. We're going to actually start seeing a lot of the wisdom and the why behind why things have been happening the way that they've been happening. We're going to kind of be letting go of that, oh, I want to go back, oh, I want to go back. I don't even do that myself anymore, which is pretty amazing, because 2019, I should say, that was a great year for me. That was a really good year for me. And I think for the first couple of years of the pandemic, like, you know, once things hit, like I was trying to get back. I was trying to be that same old person. I was trying to do those things that I used to do in my life. I was trying to be entertained in the same ways. I was trying to find fulfillment in the same ways. And I've let that go in 2023. And it's going to be fully gone in 2024. This year is going to be a big one. One for the records, one for the books, one that we're not going to forget. Okay, so some of the ways to manage this year. Number one, check out podcast number 157, How to Create a Solid Foundation if you are unsure. And reach out to me as well if you need assistance. I've got a resource that I shared with my email list around Thanksgiving, but it's just a massive resource of different spiritual modalities and things that you can utilize and put in your solid foundation, because creating your solid foundation it's different for each person. Understanding what your solid foundation is very important. This is something that you're going to be able to lean on for the rest of your life. So please take the time to build it for yourself, to create it for yourself. Spiritual practice is going to be massive this year. I mean, just absolutely massive. And whatever that looks like for you, make it a priority. You know, I have started doing breath work every single day because, quite frankly, I have been feeling the onslaught of 2024 energy for the past several weeks now. I usually feel energy way before it arrives, and it's big. It's really big, you know. And I'm one of those folks who I think is really going to thrive in 2024, and yet I can already see I'm going to have to really double down on how I'm taking care of myself within my own spiritual practices. So whatever way that looks like for you, could be tapping, you know, exercising, meditating, whatever it may be, man, double down. Number 3, again, practicing discernment, just massive. Okay. This has got to become one of your best friends. When things feel off, take time. Don't make fast decisions. Don't just jump in because everyone else is. Don't just grab onto ideas because they come big. Don't just listen to the government. And mind you, I am not saying distrust our government. That's that's a whole nother topic of conversation. Trust yourself. That's all I can say. Okay. Number 4, slowing down. Again, so important. Look, I know I've been saying this for a very long time now, but please slow down. You know, I've been slowing down. And then I get in these moments where I get all excited about what I'm doing and like, I love what I'm doing. I want to do it all the time. Life is not work. And that is not serving me. And it certainly is not serving you if I'm not taking care of me, right? Slow down. Number 5, make friends with like-minded people. Truly. Find community. Find community. And folks, I've got plans for community this year. It's happening. It's happening. We got a community coming. It's going to be the Soul Driven Collective. And keep your ears tuned. Sign up for the email list. Do the things. I'm excited. I've got to get an assistant first. But point being, look for community, okay? Number 6, minimize distractions in your life. Get really finite about what you allow into your energy, and whether that's through what you read online, the people that you're around, the activities that you do, the foods that you eat, the everything. Minimize distraction. Minimize the chaos. Simplify, purge. Continue getting rid of things you don't need. Don't keep stuff around just to keep it or because you think you might need it one day. What is Mary Kondo or whatever her name? I think she says, if it doesn't bring you joy, kick it to the curb, right? Please kick it to the curb. Especially here in the US. Oh my gosh, do we have a proliferation of crap? It blows my mind. Number 7, self-care. Self-care. Learn about your body. Learn about your nervous system. I've done podcast episodes about this. Please go back, check them out. Learn about how to take care of your body, how to listen to it. You know, again, an Akashic journey with the body that's going to be releasing in the early part of 2024. Sign up for it. It's an incredible course, a beautiful, beautiful material. But if it's not that, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Just invest in yourself this way. Your body is so important, just so important. And last but not least, show respect and kindness to others, especially those who are different than you. Especially those who are different than you. One of the prayers sometimes that I pray is, it's like, may God bless you and keep you far away from me. It's okay. It's okay to get upset with people. It's okay to get angry with people. It's okay to not want to be around people. All of those things are fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But please understand, people are truly doing their very best in every moment. And that doesn't mean that we agree with it, and it doesn't make what they're doing right or any of those things. It just means that where they are at on their path, that's the best that they can do in that moment. And we've got to let it be. We've got to learn how to let people be them and stay focused on our own path. Be kind, respect others. I had a friend tell me a couple weeks back, and I've heard this so many times, but for whatever reason, it really resonated with me. And she was just saying, we treat people how we treat ourselves. And that was huge. When you find yourself being really kind to other people and having compassion, especially with people that are different than you, that disagree with you, who are doing things that maybe you don't like, know that you have made massive progress in your own life and it deserves a pat on the back. All right. Oh my goodness, friends, if you are still with me, I just want to say thank you so much, so much for being here. I would, again, love to know how this resonated with you. Please share it with someone else who can benefit from this, just get this word out. And again, I recommend, listen back to the 2024 Akashic Forecast message once a month throughout 2024. Like, come back to this, sit with this whenever you feel called, whenever you feel lost, whenever you need to be grounded. I am here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to continue sharing things to make you laugh and inspire you and help you and all the stuff moving forward. So just thank you so much for being a part of my community, for supporting my podcast. It means the world to me. So make sure that you're on the email list. Please leave a review on iTunes or Spotify. It helps me to get this podcast out there and continue growing it. Sending you so much love. Please don't ever hesitate to reach out if I can be of assistance to you in any way. Much, much love. Here we go, 2024. All right. Don't forget, when we invest in ourselves, the world benefits. Until next time.